If you ever stood in your kitchen wondering why your toddler is throwing rocks, or why every single toy in your house somehow ends up in the different rooms, or why your child is lining up their crackers rather than eating them, you may have asked yourself a quiet question: am I doing something wrong? If so, today's episode is for the parent who feels overwhelmed, exhausted, or maybe even a little unsure if they're getting this whole parenting thing right. Because what if the behaviour that feels chaotic is actually your child's brain doing exactly what it's meant to do? And what if the fact that you're trying to understand it already means you're doing better than you think? Let's talk about that. Hello and welcome to Demystifying Child's Play. I'm Ruth, your host, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different. This isn't going to be a deep dive into one scheme. It's not going to be a list of strategies. It's not going to be a do this, not that kind of episode. Instead, it's more of a reminder, because I have the feeling that someone listening today really needs to hear this. And if that someone is you, this episode is for you. I want to start by saying something that might feel simple, but is also really important. You are doing a great job. And I mean it. You are doing a really great job, whether you're 1 year into parenting, or you're deep into the toddler and preschool years, whether you've just discovered play schemas, or you've been learning about them for a while now. It's normal to still have days where you wonder if you're actually getting this right. And days when you think things like this: why are they throwing rocks again? Why is every single toy in a different room? Why are they lining up their crackers instead of eating them? Why does everything feel so intense? And sometimes, if we're being really honest, there are moments when you wonder if you are the problem. If maybe you're not handling things well enough, or calmly enough, or creatively enough. But I want to pause right there and say something really clearly. You're not the problem, and your child is not a problem. Let's zoom out on that for a moment. When we talk about play schemas, we're talking about repeated patterns of behaviour that children use to explore the world and make sense of it. These behaviours aren't random. They're not naughty phases. They're not signs that your child is difficult. They're the brain at work. So when your child is throwing rocks or balls or food or honestly anything they can lift, that's the trajectory schema. They're exploring movement, gravity, force, cause and effect. Where your child is carrying toys from one end of the house to the other, loading baskets, pushing prams full of completely random objects, the transportation scheme. They're exploring movement through space, its ownership, its purpose. When they spin and spin and spin until they fall over laughing, that's the rotation scheme. When they line up cars in perfect rows, or carefully arrange their snacks into patterns before eating it, that's the positioning scheme. I'm not going to go through all of the top 10, but I'm sure you get the point. What might look like chaos is actually developed. And you know the part we don't talk about enough? Even when you know this intellectually, it doesn't always make it easier in the moment. Because when you're stepping over piles of transported objects for the 10th time, or when you're being called outside to supervise rock throwing, or you're watching your toddler tip out the entire basket they've just packed away, it can feel like you're just reacting all day long. Some days, parenting feels magical. You watch them master something new and you think, well, their brain is incredible. In other days, it feels like you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. Both of those experiences are completely normal. But here's the thing that actually matters. You are showing up. You're choosing to understand your child instead of just controlling their behaviour. You're choosing curiosity over punishment. You are pausing, even briefly, to think, hey, this could be learning. I wonder what schema this might be. And that matters. That is intentional parenting. And that takes courage, because it's often easier to just label the behaviour as naughty than it is to look underneath it. It's easier to say, stop throwing, than to pause and think, oh, okay, you need to throw. How can I give you a safe way to explore trajectory? It's easier to say, put that back, rather than think, oh, you're deep in transportation right now. How can I work with this instead of against it? Now, understanding schemas does not mean allowing everything. This is not permissive parenting. If you know me, you'll know that I have a lot of fun in my house, but I am certainly not permissive. It probably is a hangover of having classes of 26 5-year-olds. I do have expectations, I do have boundaries, I do have rules, but it's all about boundaries with understanding. Yes, you can throw when we're outside. Yes, you can move all those around. Right now we're sitting on these cushions. What else could you choose? Yes, you can line up things when we're home and not grocery shopping. It's shifting the question from how do I stop this to how do I support this safely? And that shift can change everything. Because when you start seeing behaviour as communication, when you recognise that repeated play is actually brain building, when you realise that what looks like messy is often meaningful, you stop taking it so personally. You stop feeling like you're failing, You start seeing patterns instead of problems. And I want to say this part really clearly. Even if you lose your patience sometimes, even if you shout and then repair, even if you forget the schema in the moment, we all do, and you're still doing a great job. Parenting young children isn't easy. Their brains are developing at a lightning speed, and they're driven by powerful developmental urges. They are wired to repeat behaviours again and again and again and again and again, because repetition is how neural pathways are strengthened. Those brain connections. And you're learning too. You are unlearning old narratives and behaviour, and you're choosing connection. You're choosing understanding. You are building a relationship where your child feels seen and safe. You are this version of yourself for the first time too. And that's lots more work. This is foundational work. So if today is felt chaotic, the rocks have been flying, if every object in your house has been transported, if the snacks have been lined up instead of eaten, pause for a second. Your child isn't trying to make your life harder. They're trying to make sense of their world. And you, just by listening to this podcast, you are trying to make sense of them. Matters. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to respond beautifully every time. You just have to keep coming back to curiosity. Keep noticing the pattern. Keep offering them safe ways to explore them. Keep repairing when needed. Because you're exactly the parent your child needs. Not because you never get it wrong, because you care enough to reflect. You care enough to learn. You care enough to look beyond the behaviour, and you care enough to repair. And that is powerful. So, here's your reminder today. The messy house, evidence of learning. The repeated behaviour, evidence of brain development. The exhaustion, evidence that you are in it. And the fact that you're here, listening, wanting to understand your child better, that tells me everything I need to know. You're doing the meaningful work. You're building something that lasts far beyond the toddler years. So keep going, because the world doesn't just need calmer kids. It needs children who feel understood. And that starts with parents like you. I'm always cheering you on. Okay, I'll see you in the next episode where I'm going to dive into investing. And this is one you want to listen to, because it's not about investing money as such. Okay, remember, today is a great day to play. Take a breath. You are doing a great job. And if you need to, listen to this again.